First and foremost, I'm a farmer in the area. I work for Foodie Farm, which is up on the northeast side of Ann Arbor. I've worked at probably about 10 different farms out here in the area over the last 7 or 8 years, and I'm the owner and the operator of the Hungry Locavore. The Hungry Locavore, this is its third life. It started in 2018 at a farm in Dixboro Village. I was incentivized by the owner of the farm to basically garner more sales outside of the produce that we grew in row crops. And the way that idea and the vision of this project came to be, there was a farmer on the other side of the fence that was talking to a restaurant owner, La Bisteca. It was October 2017, and the farmer and the restaurant owner and I were talking, and they were like, what are you going to do with all those tomatoes out there in the field? This was in October, so obviously it was going to be a frost. I basically said, hey, I'm going to sell them to you, to the restaurant owner. He kind of took the bait, we started to talk. I gave him a couple bushels of tomatoes. He came back with some marinara. We added it to our weekly menu. So every week the farm had a pickup. It was an a la carte menu. People would choose to opt in and out. So we were kind of already on the blueprint of a weekly at-will CSA share. And the principle here was an aggregated share. The idea was born that we could all collectively work together to produce a local food product and draw down our carbon emissions and fossil fuel miles on the food. So the turn on the light moment was when we got the marinara. I added it to my menu. All of a sudden our sales went up. I was being incentivized to work with more people. I basically made more money for my family, but we were also drawing together with the local community. So the idea of this project is to basically be a very collaborative front runner to basically bring these communities together. Each week the menu is at will. You can opt in and out as you see the menu, and you can preview the menu before you purchase it. And the idea is to basically work with multiple farms. The acronym CSA, that stands for Community Supportive Agriculture. This acronym for our specific share, usually that is revolving around one farm supporting the broader community. What I try to do with our menus is we try to put a different farm in every slot for every menu. Every menu usually has 6 to 8 produce items in it, along with 3 or 4 prepared foods from farm-to-table restaurants. We try to get the farms to basically work directly with the restaurants, and it's a way for the farms to basically make more money and capture more of the finances. Digging deeper into the project, the real values of this project are we are trying to draw down our fossil fuel miles on our food. If everybody today just went home and we started to buy local food, a lot of the greenhouse gas emissions around America or the planet in general are based around food miles. Most food that is served in this country travels anywhere from 1,200 to 1,500 miles before it's actually on your plate. All of our boxes are generally designed within a 50-mile radius. And as we go into the season, which is now, that current season is that we're going to draw down our own footprint, and most of the food in our boxes for a solid 7 or 8 months will come within probably a 20-mile radius of where we're standing. And the idea of that is basically, it's like a light switch. If we all start to buy food like this, we could turn down 20 to 25, 30% of our greenhouse gas emissions if we just bought local food. And the byproduct of buying the local food is that you get to know these farmers, you get to know these restaurants. Each menu, there's a specific newsletter that I write. It's like writing a college paper every single week. It takes 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 hours. Losing the hair over it, you know? It's a work, but it's a labor of love, and it's very important because it takes you on a pasture-eye bird's eye view of like what's happening in the fields. The current time, the menus focus on seasonality with the produce as well as the prepared food. And the idea of that is how now we're not shipping things thousands of miles from all over the planet to basically, everybody has to eat. So if we can eat locally, that's definitely a driver to help get to know the food systems, also grow the food systems, and create a circular food and financial economy. So every time people buy these boxes, they usually average anywhere from 12 to 15 vendors. Everybody gets a little piece of that pie on the merry-go-round. It's like, here's $500 there, $800 there. And we rotate the farms and the restaurants every week. So in 1 week, we can feature up to 80, or 1 month, we can feature up to 80 different businesses. And that is the real drawdown power of it. One, it's very transparent. Everybody knows where the food's coming from. Two, I'm a farmer, and I walk these properties, and I work with these individuals, and we take templates from one farm of cover cropping or regenerative farming to another one. So we're profit sharing information as well as food. And you know, when we pack the boxes, we're very mindful and work with intentionality. We really wanted to see creative ideas. One, sustainable practices in the field, trying to get away from like synthetic fertilizers, pesticides, herbicides, fungicides, things that affect the air, things that affect the water quality. When I go out and I see these farms, these are the conversations I have with these people. And I've been in the farming business. I'm 46. I grew up on a farm. My dad used to say 100 times a season, grow the soil and everything else will follow suit. Right now there's huge discussions about the anatomy of the soil is a direct reflection of the gut health in the human body. So if we're using that soil and we're using that template just to force food out of it, instead of actually producing productive biomes in there, it's a direct reflection on people's health. So our share is designed as a form of healthcare. Healthcare is expensive. You go to the hospital, I have a torn meniscus on my right knee. I just spent probably $1,500 just to get told I had a torn meniscus. You know, with food elements, as we get older, our cells degentrify, problems happen. You know, and everybody has to eat. A good food source is definitely the building blocks of the longevity, as well as youth, and just a healthier environment in general. So that's kind of my narrative with the project. Some background things about this project as well. Everything that I pay in rent to pack these boxes goes back to the Ypsilanti School District. It was targeted on purpose. We want to give back to the lesser community. It's also a community that doesn't have a lot of fresh access to food. So we're obviously trying to drive that narrative as well. We donate stuff to food gatherers, we volunteer. I'm also part of the 820 collaborators group, and we are starting to go into a sustainable food business coalition. And I would love to be a part of that and spearhead that initiative. I think it's very important. And we are really blessed here. Southeast Michigan, we are probably like one of the top 10 cities on average ranked for community-supported agriculture. So we're already in a good belt for a good system like this. And the driver really is to build community, camaraderie, pay fair trade prices. I never hard drive anybody. When we're negotiating deals and we're talking numbers, it's like, hey, it's snowing and it's been cloudy every day of January. Our lettuce has to be $5. No problem. We pay you $5, you know? We want our farmers to stay in business, and specifically younger farmers. Right now, the median age of farmers is in the upper 60s across the whole country. The people that I work with, the oldest farmer I work with is 74, but more than half of the farmers are probably in their mid-60s. And then the other half of the farmers, surprisingly, are actually younger than I am. So we have a lot of people that are in their 20s, 30s, early 40s. And the way that we keep them in business is we support them. So if you buy the box, trickles a little money into their accounts, they get to buy more seeds, they get to hire more people. The process begins to evolve and grow and grow and grow. And the whole idea is about just bringing the community together on a broader vision around clean, healthy, sustainable food systems. So I guess that's me in a nutshell.
My name is Blume. I'm the marketing administrator for Argus Farm Stop. Check this real quick. Clicker's not working, so I'll just put it over there for sledge cheese. All right. So at Argus Farm Stop, our mission is to grow the local food economy. We started back in 2014, coming up on our 10-year anniversary this year. And our first location was 325 West Liberty Street. You can still find us there, an old gas station. So when Bill and Kathy, our founders, came back to Ann Arbor from New York, not sure when that was, but they were really excited about the local food economy and looking to be engaged in that. And they're asking themselves, where can they fit in the process? And many people out there, maybe you're into gardening and you want to start a farm. And what Bill and Kathy saw is something that I've seen in my experience. Worked at the Whitney Farm, gone to the farmers market a lot of times. There's plenty of people out there who are doing a lot of great work and growing great food for Ann Arbor. And we need more availability for them to sell their goods and to support them, more so than Bill and Kathy had the need to start another farm. If they could support the growers that we currently have, and we're trying to figure out what are the avenues, what are the biggest things that farmers are fighting up against. So, next slide. People want to live in thriving food communities. The Ann Arbor Farmers Market, we've got a great sort of bubble here of fantastic food and people who care about their food. And, a lot of local food is healthier, it tastes great, it doesn't have to be picked early and shipped across the country and maybe even ripened in transit. There are a lot more opportunities for small and medium farms to thrive. It's not just the big farms that are going to thrive if we have a vibrant local food economy. And, we just have a lot of more opportunities to understand where our food is coming from. If our food is coming from across the country, across the world, that's communicational gaps that we don't understand. It wasn't that long ago that the predominant job in the world was being a farmer, and a lot of that knowledge is probably gone. We need to make sure we don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, if you will. So, next slide. So yeah, local food is at risk, and it has been at risk for quite a while, and not only in the country, but in Michigan and even in Washington County. And some of our statistics over here, we've taken, I think it's 1950 to 2012 was sort of how we looked at it as we started Argus Farms Up in 2014. And you see very large declines in farms across a variety of productions. Milk orchards, cattle, vegetables, honey, you see large-scale declines over the course of 62 years. And once that farmland is gone, it's very hard to get back. When the farmland is sold, it's often developed, concrete is poured, houses are made. It's not going to be a farm for a very long time again. All right, next slide. And another thing is that farmers are making very little money when they sell through the current avenues that are most available. If you go through big box grocery stores, farmers are probably making about 15 cents, maybe 30 cents at best for the items that they're selling there. Let's see the next slide, I think. Yeah, so here we can see 99.3 of produce is indirectly purchased, and that sort of explains why only 15 cents, 30 cents are going to the farmer at the end of the day when they sell their items. It's because there's a lot of middlemen in between. You have distributors themselves, maybe merchandisers, different transportations, and each one of those is going to be taking some sort of cut. And only 0.7% of that is directly purchased. You go to the farmer's market, you'll be buying directly from the farmer, and that's a very good way to have that sort of transaction. They're going to be reaping oftentimes 100%. They're going to be paying a fee maybe to be at the farmer's market, and they have to have transportation fees, but they're going to be getting the money that you give them for the tomato, the lettuce, pretty directly. However, farmers markets, a lot of them are seasonal. A lot of Ann Arbor, I believe we have it 2 days a week, right? And it goes down to 1 day a week in the winter. And so not a lot of opportunity if you're not an early riser. I'm not myself, so I'm not going to find myself at the Ann Arbor Farmers Market at 9 a.m. You might not have as many opportunities to support those local farms. So how do we make it easier to shop local? And that's where the farm stop model sort of came in. Bill and Kathy took their son down to Worcester, Ohio, to start going to college, and they found a store called Local Roots, which was a farm stop. And they're like, wow, what's going on here? And it was sort of a grocery store for farmers, and that's available and gives them a larger cut, and sort of takes the farmer's market model and makes it a brick and mortar that you can actually access 7 days a week, 5 days a week, whatever restrictions you have, a much more available avenue for farmers to both sell their goods and for consumers to buy it. So yeah, we take the farmer's market, and the farmers receive most of their sale. There's the authenticity, there's the educational nature, there's the community and the relationship with the farmer. And we add it with the grocery store of more convenience, more open year round, and that's where you get the farm style model. Yeah, I talked about some of this, but at Argus, most of our farmers and producers own their products, so we work on consignment model ourselves. So we've flip-flopped the 30% or 15% that the farmer is getting at big box retailers to Most of our producers who are selling on consignment are getting 70% of the price. So, if you buy lettuce for $4.75 from Cell Hydroponic Farms in Ypsilanti right now, they're going to get 70% of that $4.75. We only take 30% of that price. So we have one single checkout line. You go to the farmer's market, you're checking out with each individual producer. A lot of our work is we get the farmers bring us their goods, and we do everything we can to accurately identify whose lettuce this is, whose tomato this is. And we have a system to have one single checkout. You come to us and you buy all your items from a bunch of different farms, and we know which farm each of these items is from, and we are able to pay out the producer the correct amount. And farmers selling, it's not a choose farmers market or Argus. You continue to sell at the farmers market if you'd like, as well as Argus. Argus is just another option, as well as many different avenues that farmers have. And you'll see a lot of farmers who maybe aren't the hyper-local. We have a Green Things farm, which is probably about a 5-minute drive, 10-minute drive from Argus Farms out the south. We've got Gates Farm in Riga, Michigan. They'll come in for the farmers market, and they'll stop at Argus afterwards. And so there's a lot of synergy there that can be found. Yeah, so we're not meaning to shift risk through the consignment model. It is more to help the farmer reap the sales benefits that they have, and give them more avenues to grow. And customers understand the math. We're very transparent. You understand there's plenty of signage at our store that lays out what our mission is. And we're trying to build a community and local trust. One of the things that we love about Argus is if you come to shop with us, there's a pretty good chance you're going to see the farmer who grew your tomato, grew your lettuce when you come in the store. And if you want, you can go down and get a coffee with them and have a chat, and they'll tell you all about their growing practice. We can tell you about their growing practices. And so we're giving that connection back from the consumer to the farmer. Yeah, and our farm stop model, especially in Ann Arbor, has been very successful. We opened our Liberty store, as I mentioned earlier, in 2014. In 2017, we opened our Packard location at 1200 Packard Street. In 2020, with the pandemic, we expanded our online store, and we offer, and still to this day, offer a complete and total online experience to the farm stop model. You can find all of our products online as well. And we also started our CSA, which, similar to Ryan and the local foodie, Hungry Locavore, we have a CSA that's year-round, and it's made of products from many different farms around Michigan. So, a lot of farmers are going to have their own CSA to help offset their costs and have another avenue to sell their products. But a lot of them will shut down, in the winter. A little hard to grow in the winter. But for us, with the wider array of farms that we have in Southeast Michigan, we can assemble a produce box that goes around 52 weeks for the entire year and contains local goods throughout the winter. And in 2022, we were able to split our two Packard locations. With the success of our produce box and our online store, we needed a little bit more space to pack. And so we have now our market at 1226 Packard Street, as well as a cafe at our 1200 Street. So if you've been to our Liberty location or our 1200 Packard location, you probably know that we, with the 30% that we're only getting from the farmers' items, it's not the most lucrative business you're going to find. And so some of the way that we offset that cost is by running and operating a cafe as well. And we build that into the mission of we only sell local roasters coffees, we work with Arbor Teas to sell their tea, and we also are providing a communal space for people to hang out, get to know their farmer, get to know their friends, and have that sort of farmer's market feel as well in the store. Yeah, so what we find with farm stops is that we have the ability to extend seasonality. So a lot of farms, there's a lot of upfront costs to starting a farm. And, you're going to spend maybe even $10,000, $100,000 before you see $1 when you're starting your season. And so there's a lot of things that can help you expand your offerings, such as having forgetting the word, how you store your fall crops. That's another upfront cost. And if farmers have another place to sell their goods, they can have another stream of income that they can then reinvest, and they can expand the seasonality of their items. So there are certain producers that we have that, we'll stop seeing some of their items in winter. There are some other ones who maybe are bigger, and they have the ability to invest in some of these higher storage abilities. And so we'll see right now, we still have sweet potatoes, we still have plenty of potatoes from last season. And so having these new avenues allows farmers to expand their operations and to sell their items throughout a larger amount of seasons. Yeah, so we opened in 2014, and back then we worked with 40 producers. 40 producers took a chance on us, and now we work with over 200. And 2023 was another great year of growth for us. We did $6.6 million in sales, and the top 87 farms had over $10,000 in sales of Argus, with an average of $50,000 and $50,676. And yeah, so Argus has paid out over $20 million to local farms and producers since 2014. Yeah, so Washtenaw County is actually the #1 growing county in Michigan for growth of number of farms producing vegetables. And we have seen that rebound since 2012. Obviously in Washtenaw County, we have a very vibrant food community, and this is just another opportunity for us to support the local farms and keep the farmers, as Ryan talked about, average median age for a farmer. I think he said 60s, you have 58 somewhere around there from the newest consensus. And this gives opportunities for farms to actually have avenues to sell their products. They can actually get land, they can get loans, they can get the things that they need in order for the land to be purchased. Yeah, so at Argus we think we have 3 really great things going on for a recipe for success. And we got great employees who care about our producers, who care about our products, and care about our processes. And we have fantastic producers who are doing great work, and we understand, we work with them. We understand we are stewards of their products, and every day we understand that it is our job to serve them. And we also have consumers who care. You got to go out of your way to shop at Argus Farm Stop at least a little bit. And so it's a very great fabric of trust that we have between those three points. And we do everything we can to support each and every one of them in their objectives, and getting consumers the local foods they trust, getting the farmers the avenues they need to support their farms, and enabling our staff to create that web in between the two. We've seen farm stops open up across the country. There are multiple in Michigan. You'll find one in Marquette, Lakeshore Depot, Chelsea, Michigan, you'll find Agricole Farm Stop. You'll even find them as far south as South Carolina, Pharmacy in Rock Hill, South Carolina, I believe. There's a lot of other farm stops that are seeing success in this model, and they're opening up in their communities. And that's sort of the thing we want at Argus Farm Stop. We're not trying to open Argus Farm Stop Manhattan. We want local communities to, they understand where their farmers are, they understand their community. We are trying to share that model with them. Yeah, so the pendulum has swung too far, in our opinion, to the indirect sales for farmers, and we're losing that sort of connection. We had a farm stop conference this past weekend. It was very successful, and one farmer was there from California. He was talking about how much of the lettuce that we can currently buy in big box stores are coming from California, coming from Arizona. There's lots of opportunities there with the weather, but also that's not the most water secure place in the nation. And the American Midwest is actually a very fantastic, great place to grow food and support agriculture. And so if we can find ways to support the farmers that we have here, we create those vibrant and good connections for supply shocks, such as we saw with COVID and into the future. So if the closer we have that relationship with our farmers, the more resilient it's going to be. And so we just see Argus Farm Stop as an innovative approach to addressing these needs. And obviously another economic model for farmers to follow as well. Thank you.
Excited to be here. Thank you for the organizers of this amazing event. I'm really honored to be on the stage, to share the stage with Congresswoman Dingell. That's really something special. I'm just a humble restaurateur. My family has a restaurant on the northwest side of Ann Arbor called Harissa. I do see some familiar faces out in the audience, but for those of you who haven't visited us yet or are not familiar or haven't heard of our name, we're at 1516 North Maple Road. We are a North African Mediterranean restaurant, one of the few remotely African restaurants in the the state or the broader region. We opened in 2013, and so we've recently celebrated 10 years in operation, which is quite a milestone, and especially considering the past 4 years were, of course, the pandemic. But enough about our history. So I'm up here because in addition to being a restaurateur, I'm a bit of a budding climate advocate, and it's really kind of reflecting and kind of surprised how I ended up adopting this role, and preparing for this talk today. I really had to reflect on the past few years, and it kind of started back. Well, it started with the pandemic, and then the 1-2 punch of the pandemic and the January 6th insurrection. I'm not going to get too political here, but both of these phenomena kind of signal to me that I've been taking a lot of things for granted, and I recognize that as a business owner, I had a platform. I see so many people every day who come in through my door, new people every day. And I, as a business owner, am also a placemaker, and I'm helping define the makeup of my immediate community. So, in the wake of the pandemic and the insurrection, I kind of had to shake off this despondent feeling and try to figure out what I could do. And my immediate thought was to somehow get involved in local politics. I didn't know how to, so I signed up for this thing called the Ann Arbor Community Academy, which is this great little group that you just apply to, and every week for 6 or 7 weeks you meet with a different branch of local city government. And I ended up really enjoying this. It was virtual at the time, and one of the weeks we ended up talking with the Office of Sustainability and Innovations, OSI. I'm sure you guys are all familiar. And we chatted with Missy Stoltz, who has since become a hero of mine and a mentor. And she really talked to us about how we can get involved more in our community and helping our city become more sustainable. And so, again, I just realized the platform I had as a restaurateur. Here I had this amazing public figure telling me, opening the door for me, helping me see that I could be doing so much more. Harissa wasn't founded with some huge mission. It's a small family business. We're immigrants. We just wanted to make a living. We wanted to share our culture with our community. But suddenly I saw that I could be doing so much more. So in the ensuing months, we're in maybe spring of 21, we're coming up to the anniversary of A20, Ann Arbor's ambitious plan to be a net zero community by 2030. And one of the goals in A20 is, of course, has to deal with the food industry. But up to this point, not much had been done. I mean, there's really only so many resources even a community like Ann Arbor has to address all of the facets of climate change. But a project came up to develop a returnable container program. Because of A2CA, Missy and her team reached out to me and engaged my interest, and I was all for it. So I had to take on, here's a lovely picture of me and my folks. Let me tell the next slide here. Okay, that's about it. So we have been working for the past 3 or so years now on a returnable container program. This is a circular economy initiative. If you guys are unfamiliar with the circular economy, it's pretty self-explanatory. It's a set of systems that works to eliminate waste. Recycling is kind of a bridge to the circular economy. Like true circularity has even less waste than recycling. And so in its earliest form, in a pilot program at Harissa and a handful of other businesses, Zingerman's Deli, Miss Kim was there early on, Detroit's refilling station, a handful of businesses. The idea was to cut back on single-use plastics. I think everyone here noticed that during the pandemic, the restaurants and the use of single-use plastics really exponentially increased, and for good reason. We were just trying to survive. My parents, who I run Harissa with, were in their mid to late 60s and had some health issues, and that's hardly unique to us. So you do what you can to survive, but unfortunately, given how our society is designed, set up at the moment, that requires you to double down on your most wasteful practices. So here we are trying to proffer an alternative design framework. But this pilot program is pretty bare bones. Essentially, everyone who walked through our door, at the time we were only set up for takeout, they wanted to get a takeout order. We offered them the opportunity to get their food packaged in a returnable container. 9 out of 10 people we spoke to were like super gung-ho, all about it, and gladly took their food in the returnables. We soon found that these containers were not coming back. And they were nice, sturdy containers. I'm sure they didn't end up I hope they didn't end up in the garbage. I think they ended up in a number of Tupperware drawers throughout Ann Arbor, and hopefully are still being in use today. But it quickly became clear that we were, just engaging in an unfortunate greenwashing campaign, where there's this lovely idea, but in action, it really isn't accomplishing its goal. And so it was back to the drawing board, and really over the past few years, it's been weekly, bi-weekly meetings of really trying to tackle this really complex system, and that requires taking on, it requires adopting technology to track these containers. We're still, years in. We're still early days, and it's a lot of fun. It's a great team. We've now, I'll go back to those later. So we now have like a whole cohort of organizations. What started off as the city and myself and a few other restaurateurs now includes Recycle Ann Arbor, Ann Arbor's amazing recycling partner, whose mission really isn't to recycle. The name is really a misnomer. They are concerned with kind of removing waste. We as a city, it's a real privilege to have an organization like them in charge of our recycling. I have since kind of joined up with zerowaste.org, a local nonprofit that is trying to reduce waste. And then Perpetual is a nonprofit national sustainable consultancy. So this cohort of organizations is making real strides in making this complex issue or complex system a reality. Every week is new challenges, but I'm really enjoying the process. So I'll continue with the returnables, but I wanted to go back to the previous slide here. We, Harissa, are, as far as I know it, the only restaurant in town to have a carbon labeling system for our menu. So it was designed with a graduate student at the University of Michigan who was interested in harnessing design to just kind of nudge consumer behavior. The thinking being that if people are aware of the impact that their dining choices have or could have on the environment, they may order something with a smaller footprint. And essentially, we broke things down into a stoplight system: red, yellow, green, and we categorized a portion of each of our dishes into those 3 categories. And essentially, it boiled down to dishes with red meat, copious amounts of cheese were in red. Yellow was kind of, not ruminant animals, but like chicken, fish, and then vegan, vegetarian, fully vegetarian dishes are green. And this was really, again, just a nudge, but this gets at really what binds all of the work that I'm doing, which is an emphasis on community. And and what we are trying to do here is to start conversations. We have found that to be the case. It's just really important for people to just reflect on these things. I mean, our climate crisis is being driven by just a handful of multinational conglomerates, but still we can hold our decisions close to heart. So I've touched on that. Okay, so let's see what's next here. Oh, is that it? Okay. So through my work, I've noticed that there are a number of challenges in making this circular economy initiative viable, and scale is a big one. Really what Perpetual brought to the table, that's the consultancy I mentioned, is an understanding that a system like this can't really be built up from one business at a time. It needs to start at a citywide level, and that of course introduces a lot of complexities and physical challenges. And then there's a cultural aspect to this. I think we as consumers need to reflect on how so many innovations today have kind of coddled us and made us so comfortable, and our access to food is so convenient. I'm thinking about delivery services here. I think of more than a third of Americans eat fast food every day, and 70% of those are, in a takeout window. And this just kind of gets at how innovations are just further isolating us. And what I'm trying to do here is really innovate towards community. I think we need to kind of take a step back, harken back to the relationships that we used to have with our restaurants, and kind of pivot and innovate towards community. And so I see circular economy initiatives as something that works towards this, because you are going to your local restaurateurs, you are picking up a container, you are returning it to any other business that's participating. And for this to be viable, that would be most, if not all, restaurants in town. So let me see, I probably have another minute here. So so calls to action. I mean, there's a lot of overlap with what other speakers have said today. I mean, I think what I bring to, if I'm to say anything new, it's really just to ask you guys to kind of reflect on your eating habits and reflect on your habits. We're all creatures of habit. We're human. But I think real progress is going to require us to make some concessions and accept a few more inconveniences as we try and develop these new programs. I as a consumer have had to really become comfortable with a feeling of hypocrisy, because it's so difficult to be fully, like a full sustainable being. You try to do one good thing and you've realized that there's a trade-off. But we have to sit with that hypocrisy and just keep walking towards a more sustainable future, a more sustainable local food system. So thank you all, and it's been an honor to be here today.